Hello, and welcome to Afternoon Tea with Karen. Let's have fun with documents. Back on the Victorian Government webpage, response to the inquiry into anti-vilification protections. The government has asked the public what they think the best way to strengthen the Victorian anti-vilification laws are. Public consultation was open from the 6th of July to the 16th of October in 2023. Um, The department is reviewing the feedback and there is a report due out soon. Read more on the consultation by clicking that blue bar, which we're going to do. Engage Victoria. Okay, let's find out about them. Engage Victoria is the Victorian Government's online consultation platform. The public engagement framework outlines the Victorian Government's approach to public engagement to deliver on its own vision to work with communities to make better decisions to improve the lives of Victorians. If you work for the Victorian Government and would like to host a consultation on Engage Victoria, please complete the form. Okay, current consultations. Local government reforms of 2024. Reviews of probate fees. Ballarat Station upgrade. Let's have a quick look at that. It's part of Victoria's big build. Right, so there's some things to read and fact sheets. Community information sessions, online, register online at Try Booking. In person, register, start the survey, and ask a question. So, strengthening Victoria's laws against hate speech and hate conduct. The Victorian Government wants to strengthen laws against violence and hate conduct. Vilification is more commonly known as hate speech, although this often includes a broader range of behaviour than is currently against the law. The Racial and Religious Tolerance Act of 2001 currently protects Victorians from hate speech or conduct because of their race or religion. In a 2021 parliamentary inquiry, it was found that the law does not do enough to prevent or address vilification. The Victorian Government is committed to improving the anti hate laws to effectively protect more Victorians and has consulted extensively with the community to inform changes in the law. So I'll have a look at the consultation papers here that we phased consultation between July and October 23, so communities had time to meaningfully contribute. So we invited people to make written submissions or complete surveys in response to the three consultation papers. So the things to read. The government is considering feedback received in your submissions and surveys responses to determine how to improve the law. People participated. Engage Victoria webpage invited public feedback for 102 days, which we had a look at their consultations. 619 survey responses were received via Engage Victoria. 122 written submissions were received. That's 741 submissions out of all of Victoria. We heard broad support for changes to the law to expand protections to more Victorians. We heard support for expanding the law to also protect people because of their sexual orientation, gender identity, sex characteristics, disability, HIV or AIDS status, or their personal association with a targeted group. To streamline current criminal offences, we heard support for simplifying offences for serious vilification so they were easier to prove. We also heard support increasingly for maximum penalty for these kind of offences because of the serious harm that vilification has on the community. Support Victorians to access resolutions. We heard support for making it easier for people who have experienced vilification to seek resolution or remedy through the Victorian Equal Opportunities and Human Rights Commission or the Victorian Civil and Administrative Tribunal. This included support for allowing organisations to bring um, complaints on behalf of a person or group who does not want to be named, and support for changes to the law that would expand the Victorian Equal Opportunities and Human Rights Commissioner's power to help people identify who vilified them. We also heard changes to the law must protect and promote human rights, should be supported by education funding and greater support for communities. Second sentence down, your suggestions included focusing on prevention in schools and better information to help communities understand their rights. We also heard that more needs to be done to prevent vilification on the internet and social media. Vilification is an act that encourages hatred, serious contempt, revulsion, or severe ridicule towards a person or group of people. Only behaviour that meets the legal definition of vilification is against the law. In Victoria, the Racial and Religious Tolerance Act of 2001 protects people from vilification because of their race and religion. Why we want to change the law is because in 2021, the Legal and Social Issues Committee held a parliamentary inquiry. The inquiry's report was tabled in Parliament on the 3rd of March 2021. It made 36 recommendations. In September 2021, the government responded to the report, supporting in principle 34 of 36 recommendations, and I did my last YouTube video about that. Privacy collection notice. If you do a submission, you are not required to provide any personal information, and all fields on the submission form relating to personal information are optional. So, stage 1, protecting more Victorians from vilification. From the Department of Justice and Community Safety, table of contents, privacy collection notice, acknowledgement, introduction, context. Vilification is more commonly called hate speech, although this often includes a broader range of behaviour than is currently against the law. People who are vilified for reasons other than race and religion are not protected by the Racial and Religious Tolerance Act of 2001 in Victoria. That act provides two kinds of protection against vilification: civil protections and criminal protections. Um, In 2021, there was a report released. It found that there is widespread vilification and hatred occurring in the community that targets a range of Victorians, including those who are Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander, who'd be covered by the racial part, Muslims and Jewish people, who'd be covered by the religious part, women, LGBTIQ plus community, or who have a disability. The inquiry found that current laws do not effectively prevent or address this vilification. So, a first step was implementing the recommendations. The government introduced a new law prohibiting the public display of Nazi swatch stickers. Then they went on to ban the Nazi salute. Now, in order to do this, they needed to lower the threshold for hate speech in Victoria. Feedback. Right. Recommendations. The inquiry recommended extending civil and criminal protections beyond race and religion to Victorians who often experience vilification based on LGBTIQ plus status or identity, gender, disability, and HIV/AIDS status. So it is recommended protecting these groups under the following attributes. So changing the Act to include all those from B to H. So the existing stuff, right, new groups to be protected. People with a disability. The inquiry found that people with a disability often experience ongoing harassment and hate conduct, though there is limited research on the prevalence of vilification and hate conduct directed at this group. There's some questions scattered amongst here as well. New protection. People living with HIV/AIDS. It is proposed that protections be extended to people living with HIV/AIDS under the attribute of disability, which provides discrimination protection to this group under the Equal Opportunity Act. New protection, LGBTIQ plus communities. The inquiry found that vilifying behaviour towards LGBTIQ plus communities is pervasive, with nearly 75% of LGBTIQ plus people in Australia having experienced bullying, harassment, or violence on the basis of their sexual orientation or gender identity. The inquiry recommended that vilification protections be extended to LGBTIQ plus communities, noting the broad stakeholder support for vilification protection on these grounds. Other stuff. New protection, gender. New protection, people who associate with targeted groups. Details of proposed reform, clarifying that vilification complaints may be made based on multiple attributes. And there's those questions. And there's some notes on the Victorian equal opportunities and human rights. Now, I'll have to do the next two in part 2, but this is just the table of contents. Improving criminal anti-vilification protections for all Victorians. And strengthening civil anti-vilification protections for all Victorians. So it's 32 pages long. And I'll review those two next time. That'll do. See you later. Bye.